To be here with Roy Rickstrew, the disability guru. We've got a little topic we think it's going to be interesting for a lot of people today. So you stay tuned, tell your friends, and we'll be back right after this. We're not quite back, but we're going to be back. The video. All right, we're back. We didn't get our scroll today. We'll figure out why that's happening a little bit later. But, you know, it's always fun in the tech booth when we do things like that. So,
live programming, right?
Yeah, live programming. It's good times. But anyway, you told me before we came in what you were going to talk about. And I think that's important because I think sometimes people may not realize that this is a condition that can lead to a disability claim. Yes or no?
Yes. So obesity is the topic of the day.
It is.
And the way that Social Security handles obesity has changed some through the years. And those of us that have been around Social Security and disability determination since Noah's flood know that prior to 1999, there were actually height-weight charts that addressed obesity. And if you simply weighed more than your height should at a certain degree, then you were eligible for Social Security benefits. They nixed that in 1999. And it's always interesting to me the way that pop culture references things in real life, but you may or may not recall, The Simpsons actually did an episode where Homer gained a bunch of weight to meet the height-weight charts and qualify for Social Security disability.
Oh, no, actually I never watched a lot of The Simpsons. I always kind of meant to, but Tracy Ullman's show is where they debuted. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not
Probably
know
don't even
that.
know who Tracy Ullman is. But
I do know the name.
There you go.
But nonetheless, the way that Social Security addresses obesity is it's no longer a standalone condition. So they look at the way that it contributes to other conditions that you may have. And that's kind of the way that the filter they look at this through. So for example, if you had knee problems, the extra weight that you carry could create additional pain above and beyond what the knee would reflect that it should normally have.
Right.
So if you had a moderate degree of osteoarthritis in the knee, for example, you may have a marked level of pain despite having a moderate condition because the obesity is the contributing factor.
And just to be clear, Social Security is not going to look at somebody and just go, we'll just lose some weight.
No, and that's kind of the interesting thing. You know, a lot of people think that if we talk about obesity, there's going to be some, judgment as to why you gain so much weight.
Right.
And Social Security really doesn't make that judgment. They do expect you, though, to be making some progress. A lot of times judges are very concerned with seeing that you're doing what you can do to try to improve your condition and to get better. And part of that is following weight loss recommendations.
Yeah, so like the Homer Simpson rule, I guess you might call that, right? They don't want you to be, and I guess the issue is, it's not always, by no means, but to some extent, obesity is a voluntary condition. I know it is for me. If I gain a lot of weight, it's totally voluntary. It's because I chose to do that. But I guess that's not a consideration.
No, it's really not a consideration. And I think if you were to line up 10 medical professionals, not all of them would agree that it's purely a voluntary thing. I think there's some biological predisposition,
probably
if nothing
some
else.
mental issues that can contribute to that as well.
I mean, food provides comfort for a lot of people, and then unfortunately it translates to weight too. Yeah. But there's lots of conditions that this affects. I mean, a lot of cardiac conditions, certainly. Even mental health conditions can be affected by obesity.
Yeah, well, and comfort food is always high in carbs and fat too. That's
always.
True. So last question for me that comes to mind right now is, so if you did follow those weight loss recommendations, you did lose a lot of weight, basically relieve the condition, then we come off a disability.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, it kind of depends on the degree of damage that may have been done by the obesity while you carried it, right? If we go back to my knee example, whatever damage is done from the additional grinding, if you will, in the knee is a long-term complication that can continue indefinitely. Social Security is not going to expect you to go through some major weight loss reduction surgery. They just want to know that you're making some progress. And that's kind of the general theme of Social Security with a lot of things. They won't force you into a back surgery, but they expect that you'll go in for injections and talk to them about a neurostimulator unit and see if you can restore some degree of functioning.
And we talked about this before, but there are reviews, conditional reviews for folks that are on disability. How often are those generally?
Depends. It depends. Yeah, it depends on a lot of things. I mean, for example, a judge can order a review with an approval. I've seen them in as little as 7 or 9 months. Traditionally, if Social Security doesn't dictate one, it's usually 3 years or 5 years, depending on your age category. The closer you get to full retirement age, the less likely and less frequent they are to take a look at you.
Is there a situation where the ALJ, I'm sorry, administrative law judge would just go, well, you're a quadriplegic, so we're not even going to ever review this?
Yeah, they're still going to peek in at some point in time. Yeah, and I know it sounds funny, but yeah, I've never seen a case that they just waive the review in its entirety.
Yeah.
I think it's just a procedural thing. I'm sure there's probably some regulation that says you shall look at these every so often along the way. And I have seen a couple cases where judges approved things and ordered an immediate review.
Yeah.
Or a near immediate review.
Well, I've seen stories of quadriplegics. They went to law school, got a law degree, and they're practicing attorneys. So they're going to not meet disability because they can function perfectly well.
They're gainfully employed, sure.
Absolutely. Hey, if you have questions about this topic or any other with disability, let's talk. Call Roy right there. You can go to his website by scanning the QR code on the screen with the camera on your smartphone. It'll pop up a link. You tap it, take you right to his website, or give him a call at that number, 417-812-6698. Guy answers his own phone.
Yeah.
I would never do that. You'd never get me to do that. I won't answer my phone at all.
I like to talk to people.
Yeah, well, good for you. I don't like to talk to people when I'm on camera. So anyway, thanks for being with us again, Roy. Thanks for joining us out there in Planet 417, and we'll see you next week.